Welcome to the Story Learning Podcast, regular doses of language learning tips and motivation to help you become fluent in any language. With me, Olly Richards. For language programs, books, free resources, and much more, visit StoryLearning.com.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to the I Will Teach You a Language podcast. Hope you are having a fantastic day. All right, then. So I just got off the phone with Kirsten from Fluent Language for her new show, which is called The Fluent Show. It's all about language learning, much like this. And we recorded a chat for her podcast all about the German course that we've been developing together. I think I've mentioned this before, the fact that I've been working on a German course. It's the latest installment in my series of courses that are all about learning through stories. So we started off with Spanish last summer. The German course is what we've been working on, hard now for a few months. The release is imminent. Depends how you define imminent, really, but certainly within the next month or two. Super excited about that. And of course, I've been teaming up with Kirsten to create this course. Kirsten is a fantastic teacher, native German speaker, and very much thinks about language learning along the same lines that I do. So we've really created something really, really great here. And this conversation that I had with Kirsten on her show was exploring some of the issues and challenges that we faced creating the German version of this course. It's very interesting. And what I'm going to do, I think, is in a couple of episodes' time, I'm going to broadcast that conversation here as well. So I'm going to broadcast an episode of Kirsten's podcast here as well for you to listen to. So we've got that to look forward to. Now, today on the podcast, we have a question from Japan, all about language exchange event. Okay, today we have a question from Masami. Let's hear it.
Hi, Ollie. I'm Masami from Japan. I'm only passionate about learning English. I just wanted to ask you one thing about meetup today. One day last month, I traveled overseas. I joined a certain meetup in a certain country. I don't want to say the name of country. Anyway, there are about 20 or 30 people at the pub. They're speaking loudly, shouting, just too disorganized. Chaos. Anyway, I spent 2 hours. I find myself just giving the self-introduction with no meaningful topic involved. It's good to meet new people, but nothing more, which disappointed me. I'd like to hear your thought about joining Meetup in general. Thank you.
Hey, Masami, thank you very much for your question. And I think it's a new topic, this one, actually, meetups. We've talked about language exchanges before, but meetups in general, I think, is a new topic here on the show. So thank you for introducing that. That's great. Now, wow, it's a funny topic, this. And it's very difficult to talk about. I actually recorded my answer to your question just now, and then I deleted it because I wasn't very happy with it. So I'm recording this now for the second time. And I think, as I'm thinking about this topic, inside my head is a lot of very different thoughts. In your question, you use the word chaos, and I think that's the perfect word to use. I've always found meetups in general to be total chaos. And of course, it depends on the topic, and it depends on the place, and it depends on the people and all of that. But it's very difficult to get to a bunch of people together who are going to get on and who are going to, like similar things and, want to get similar things out of the event. It's very difficult. I think often the more specific the meetup, the better. That's what I found. So general meetups in somewhere like London, for example, are basically just an excuse for a party. People won't say that. You might have even language events in London, big language meetups. You go and you think, okay, I'm going to practice my languages. But actually, most people who are there are just want to make some friends, or they want to have some drinks, have a party. Maybe often a lot of the guys who go there are just interested in meeting girls. This is a reality of these events. And whenever you get together a bunch of random people, total strangers, it's very, very difficult to control or to predict what the atmosphere is going to be like. But the more specific the event, the more likely that it's going to be that you're going to meet people who are similar. So, if you have an event in London about Esperanto, for example, then, you're not going to get any old person coming to this event. You're only going to get people who are specifically interested in Esperanto. And so the people that you meet there are more likely going to be your kind of person. You're going to have similar tastes. You're going to like similar things, have more interesting conversations. The more similar we are, the easier that works. Now, you mentioned you're from Japan, Masami, and I've been to quite a few Japanese language meetups in London, and I remember going to one meetup last year sometime, which was in a big pub somewhere in central London, and there must have been like a lot of people there, 60, 70 people there, and it's exactly like you described. It was a big, loud, noisy pub with people talking very loudly. And the funny thing is, like, although it's supposed to be a language event or a kind of cultural sharing event or something like that, but what happens is, because there's so many people there, you kind of get this very strange tension in the room about people who are like come in their groups and they're not quite sure who to talk to, and like language practice was the kind of the last thing that's easy to do. And I certainly spoke very little Japanese that night. But anyway, languages, when you're practicing and wanting to learn, rely very much on the goodwill and charity of the person that you're speaking to. So what that means is that whatever event you go to, whatever kind of meetup or language exchange event you go to, it's completely dependent on the people that you meet there. Okay, so if you go to an event and you meet someone who is willing to help you practice your English, and is willing to give up some of their time at that event, or at least share the time equally, and they are a nice person that's easy to talk to, then you're going to have a great time. But most people aren't like that. Let's be honest. Most people are selfish. They do things for their own reasons, and I'm sure if we had a meetup event with listeners of this podcast, it would be the best meetup in the world. But, that's not the reality of meetups. The way meetup works is it's a website where anyone from around the world can just join and turn up. So the way that I always end up thinking about these things, Masami, is that, we are interested in language, right? We are language learners. That's what we like. It's what motivates us. But the purpose of language is to communicate with people. The purpose of language is to create social interactions or to communicate through ideas with other people. And so it all depends on the people. And so in that sense, meetup being a very random thing, I think it's difficult to get right. This is one of the reasons that I much prefer having my own language exchanges with one person, because it's just much more reliable once you find that one person who you like and who helps you practice in the right way, who's patient, a person that you have a good relationship with. You can just get so much more out of that. So it all comes down to really a social question. That's it, really, with the meetup. Okay, yeah, you might want to practice your languages, but the other people might not. So then it's just a question of, okay, are you happy in that environment? Are you happy being in that place with 25 other people you don't know with loud music? Some people like that, some people don't. But it seems to me that that's the question. As language learners, when we try to make language more than it is, if we try to put language at the center of what we do, that's often when we run into trouble, because most people are simply not like that. Most people, even in language exchange events, most people don't care that much about the language. It's just the way it is. So I would say to you, Miss, if you don't like those kind of environments, then don't worry. You don't have to go. Now, I go often to these things because I don't, you know what? Actually, I don't know why I go to these events. I do go to them, but I don't know why I go, because I often don't enjoy them. But I guess, if you go to them often enough, and sometimes you do meet someone every now and again who can become a very good friend or a very good language exchange partner or something like that. But it is a lottery, and you might have to meet 100 people in order to meet the one person that you become good friends with or a good language partner with or something like that. And so really, you as a person, as a human being, do you like that kind of interaction? I personally have a lot less time for it now than I used to. When I was younger, I would just go out. I don't care. I just meet people, whatever. I don't mind if I'm wasting my time. I just enjoy going out. Now I'm much more selective. I'm much more protective of my time, and I prefer not to just kind of put myself in a situation with lots and lots of random people. So I like using language exchange websites like languageexchange.com. mylanguageexchange.com is a good way to connect with people. So yeah, focus on the social side of it, really, not the language side of it. And I think you will be able to create a better understanding of yourself and what you like and your relationship with people and languages. That's certainly been my experience anyway. So I hope that helps, Masami. Also, don't forget, if you ever come to London, come to Languages of London. This is my group, my organisation. Well, I say mine. I have a lot of help from others, from Suzanne, from Amy, Shona, Gareth, Bruno. Oh my word! I hope I'm not forgetting someone. There's so many wonderful people involved in this. Anyway, the aim for us is to bring people together according to their interests. So it's not a language exchange event, but it is an event to meet other people who are interested in languages. So we say that, look, if I'm interested in languages and you are interested in languages, then most likely we're going to get on well and have an interesting conversation. And that's why I think in our meetups we have a fantastic atmosphere, because there is only people who come based on this shared interest. That's certainly been how it's been working so far. And also we choose quieter venues where you can actually talk and have a conversation, which always helps. So yeah, Masami, if you're in London next time, then come along and see if our meetup is any different. I like to think it is, but then again, I would say that. If you'd like to ask me a question like Masami did, then you can go to iwillteachyourlanguage.com/ask. And at the end of every episode, I like to leave you with a resource of some kind on the topic of the show. I just mentioned Languages of London, so I'm going to give you the place to go to join up to our notification list. Go to meetup.com and search for Languages of London. You can see our events coming up. We've been not so consistent this year because I've been away in Hong Kong and Japan, but I'm back now and I intend to make this a thing in 2018. So if you are in London, do come and join us, please. I'd love to see you. It's always a huge pleasure to meet podcast listeners at these events, and it does happen from time to time, quite often actually. So please do come. Again, go to meetup.com, download the app, sign up to Languages of London, and then you'll get notifications about future events. Thanks for listening. Thank you, Masami, for your question. Domo arigatou gozaimashita. And see you next time.
Thanks for listening to today's episode, and in case you didn't already know, I teach languages in a rather unusual way, through stories. Now, stories are a great way to learn a new language because when you're engrossed in a story, you remember things more easily, and the mechanics of the language just start clicking inside your brain. It's quite something, and if you'd like to find out how you can learn a new language or improve your skills in a language that you already know and do it with the power of stories, then you should check out my free Story Learning Kit, which will teach you exactly how this method works and how you can use it yourself to learn a new language. Visit storylearning.com/podkit, that's PODKIT, to get free access. Inside, you'll find explanatory videos, masterclasses, worksheets, short stories to practice with, and much, much more. Once again, that is storylearning.com/podkit, PODKIT. And if you're lucky, you might also find a link in the podcast description or show notes of this episode.